to convert knowledge.
That's why we want to rock. We want right now to recognize opportunities to convert knowledge. Look at all the networking you could do here with professional rocks. Recognize the opportunity we have in the next several days to make those connections and to learn some new strategies and some new answers to questions that we have. But also, we might aspire to rock with some personal challenges that we have. That's all very possible. One of the best things about coming to a live convention. Raise a hand if you're in a group with someone you hadn't met before. New friends, new colleagues. So what is your rock? I want to tell you a little bit about my rock.
Please don't show them that picture of me. Please.
Nope, it's time to show them the picture of you. I was teaching in Lee's Summit, Missouri. I was doing an Educate the Educator session. It was all day. And it was break time. And my phone started to ring. And I'd like to take you back to that day. And I figured I would answer it. It was the Louisiana number. Hello?
Hello, mistake. You have a brain tumor. You have to go see the doctor. Goodbye.
What? That's what I said. I said, what? And I had to go back in and teach the rest of that day because it was only the morning. I'm sure some of you have had things like that happen to you on a day when you had to be at a meeting or you had to be teaching. And you just said to yourself, let me just shift into educator mode, which I did. And at lunchtime, I picked up the phone and I called my youngest daughter, Brittany, who happens to be a physician's assistant and is terrific anyway, but terrific at resources and research. And she said, okay, Mom, I know your symptoms. Let me look it up. Call me back when you have a chance. So at the end of the day, I called her. And she said, I am 90% sure that from your symptoms and what you've told me, you have what's called an acoustic neuroma. Now, that's not a malignant brain tumor, but anything growing inside of a closed place is a problem. But you know what, Mom? You and I have named our cars and our suitcases and our purses. So, acoustic neuroma, let's call her Annie. And that way she won't be scary. We can talk about Annie. I said, okay, all right, I'm good. I can deal. So here's Annie. Yep, that's
pretty cute. I placed 8th in the Miss Cranial Nerve pageant.
Yes, she's on my 8th cranial nerve, and yes, she thinks she's beautiful. But let me tell you what I did do. I went home. I had to see a specialist who I can't even pronounce the name of what it is he specialized in. And I said to him, okay, what do we do? He said, well, you could have had this since birth. We may not require any treatment at all. And I said, oh, that would be nice. He said, well, come back in 6 months and we'll do it again. We'll take an MRI. I said, okay. So I convinced myself for 6 months that I'd had this and it wasn't changing. And I went back, and he said to me after the second MRI, well, your medium-sized acoustic neuroma is growing significantly. So you have to weigh your options and decide what to do. And so I went home, and I opened up the door of my closet, and I got in it, and I closed the door. And I sat in the dark. And my husband, who's wonderful, was saying, please come out of the closet. Please, Michelle, come out of the closet. And I said, nope, I'm staying right here. So in an act of love, he grabbed a chair and put it in the closet and said, if you're going to stay in here, please sit on a chair. And I know there were some pretty panicked phone calls between him and my wonderful daughters about me being in a closet. But when I was in that closet, I had to weigh my options, and here's what it was. Option 1, neurosurgery to remove Annie. with no guarantee that she would not grow back. I don't know about you, but I'm not up for volunteering for neurosurgery. Stroke, paralysis, all that fun stuff. I don't think so. So my second option, 6 weeks of radiation to my head. Will I be home 6 weeks in a row with the job I do? No. What's option 3? 3 days of cyberknife surgery. Lots of radiation to one's head for 3 days. And so that's what I picked. So now I have an excuse when I forget something. I say to my husband, radiated brain. He goes, yeah. True. The good news is Annie is now stable, and I hope she stays that way. But there's no guarantees in life, folks. So what? What about this? What does this have to do with anything? Well, it is an opportunity for me to recognize ways to convert knowledge so that it can help somebody else. That's why I'm even telling this story. Only my family knew up until today that this has been going on.
This group really rocks.
They do.
We will rock you. Rock you.
Yes, she's ready to rock. And I'm hopeful that this talk can help you to be ready to rock. Let's look at how. Well, what were some of the personal barriers to transformation Annie and I had sitting in the dark in the closet? You see her? She's with me. Well, I thought, I don't have time to deal with this. I don't need this kind of health crisis, please. Inertia. Maybe if I ignore it, it'll go away. Fear. Oh, good golly. Fear coming out of everything. And last but not least, just overload. And that's what put me in the closet. So I want you to think, if you have a personal challenge that you're carrying with you, a rock, we can understand why our learners feel this way. Because we maybe have felt that way too. So what's the upside?
Great educators step out of their comfort zone.
Isn't this the truth? The best educators I've ever met step out of their comfort zone regularly. And you know what? Rocks don't paralyze people, fear does. And I've been so afraid to share this with anybody that I know professionally because I've always had a great fear I would lose my business. People won't employ me if they think, she'll be dead in a couple months. Oh, that sounds depressing, doesn't it? Or, gee, maybe she'll have a brain cramp in the middle of teaching. All that radiation to her head. Or worse than that, I've been afraid to tell because people sometimes look at you with great sympathy. And that's just as hard. That's just as hard. So let me share with you what Annie has brought me, because she has given me 3 of the best gifts I've ever gotten that I would have never had without her. And here's the first one. If you've been waiting to do something in your life, and you've been putting it off for whatever the reason, you don't have enough time, you don't think you have enough money, if you have somebody you love, tell them. If you have something you wanted to do, do it. Don't wait. Here's the first gift she gave me. So I want to tell you about just a little adventure that I had because of her. Last year, my husband and I took a trip to Europe. Yes, we're not waiting. Yes, we're spending the inheritance. Sorry, girls. Oh, we are. I've already told them they're each getting $20 in an envelope, and that's it. So last year, we took a trip to Spain and Portugal because I wanted to go to Fatima. And on the way to Fatima, we stopped at a place called Santiago de Compostela. Has anybody been there? Anybody? Yes. Donna's got her hand up right here. It is the most incredible place. People, pilgrims from all over the world make pilgrimages to this place where the relics or the bones of St. James the Apostle are housed. And it is an incredible place that I just happened on the way to Fatima. So I want to tell you what happened to me there, because it was transforming. I had a local guide, and she took us into the church, and there's this big statue of St. James on an altar. And then she took us under the altar to where his relics are, which you see right here. And then she took us up a set of stairs to the back of the statue, and we were in a line. And she said to me, I'll go first, but the tradition is to put your arms around the statue of St. James, and if you want to say a prayer, you can, or if you want to think of just a positive thought, whatever your belief system is. I said, okay. And so she went first, put her arms around him. I was next. I put my arms around St. James, and here's a picture of it. And I said a prayer for every person I have ever taught or ever will. And I prayed for peace and prosperity for those people. And I prayed for my family and all of the people that I love. And I prayed for peace. And it was as if the ceiling opened up and there was this golden light that came down like the zip thing on Star Trek. And I could feel heaven for just a minute, and it was so complete and so peaceful and so much love. It was incredible. It was a moment I will never forget. Does everybody have to go to this place to feel it? No. I think there's little doors to heaven all over the place. I'm just really grateful I got to go to this one, because it was so incredibly special.
I remember that day. It was extraordinary.
It was. And when I came out, my husband followed me, and then our friends Catherine and Paul, who had traveled with us, came out, and we were standing outside the church, and my friend Catherine said, "Wow, I've never felt that." And I said, "You felt that too?" And my husband said, "Yeah." And Paul said, "Yeah." And we were like, oh my gosh, what an incredible gift. What a wonderful, wonderful gift. I would have never had that gift without Annie. Here's my second thing that Annie has given me. A grateful heart. Here's a picture of my 8-year-old granddaughter, Delilah, and a book she got at Christmas that she's coloring. It's very, very complex. And I was babysitting for Delilah a couple of weeks ago, and we were sitting in a chair, and she was going through each page, and she shared with me every hope as she colored that book of why she chose what color and how she hoped to do this page and that page. And I felt tears coming down my face. So I am so grateful for the love that is in my life that maybe I had taken a little bit for granted. And I know none of you have ever taken that for granted, but maybe one day you need to stop and be a little bit more grateful than you are now.
Wow! Look at those bows. I wish I had some bows that are pretty like that.
I get it. You want me to put one of Delilah's bows in my hair? Is that what you want, Annie? How does that look?
I wasn't naming names, but since you suggested it, yes!
Oh, look at this.